Welcome. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. And I'm in the studio with the amazing, incredible, talented East St. Louis's own Torey D'Shaun. Give it up for the boy. What's up, man?
What's good, Ace?
How you feeling, bro?
Man, I feel good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking.
Good.
I mean, you looking good, bro. You got the bees. You know what I'm saying? Got the drip.
That's my stilo now.
I mean,
yeah.
I think when you talked about it, when you first had got him, I think not just me, it probably seemed like everybody around you was like, that's it.
Yeah. This was like the one thing that we did first.
Yeah.
For the joint that kind of like blew up on Instagram.
For sure, yeah.
And so I turned into a whole new artist.
Yeah, you kind of went on a rebrand, which I think is dope.
Yeah,
we can get into that later because it's probably we got so much to cover. How you feeling today, though, man?
I feel good. I slept good, man. ATL is like my second home, so.
Hey, I love hearing that. Shout out to Atlanta, the greatest city on the earth. The capital of hip hop. Even though it's not looking good right now in these hip hop streets, but Torey D'Shaun's here to save the day, to redeem it, to get it back right.
Yeah.
I know. Me and you've been knowing each other for a minute. I want to say probably like 4 or 5 years now. What you think?
Almost 5. Yeah.
Dang, that's a minute. Mm-hmm. So, for the people who've been living under a rock, just talk to a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you from, just Torey D'Shaun. Shout out your last name. We got the same last name, y'all. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it's my cousin, man.
Hey, the fact that you said cousin over uncle makes me proud. So. Like some people, it's the other way around. So.
Nah,
but tell people where you from, man. Like what got you here, just upbringing, just the whole backstory. I think people would love to hear more about you because they see all this dope stuff you're doing. They hear your music, and they just want to know more about Torey D'Shaun, the artist, the person. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah. My name is Torey D'Shaun. Mm-hmm. Torey D'Shaun Harris.
St. Louis.
Yes, sir. East St. Louis. So look.
Just break because I feel like I'd be confused.
Yeah. So East St. Louis, Illinois is a city within itself.
Okay.
So it's East St. Louis, Illinois, and then it's St. Louis, Missouri.
Hold on. So East St. Louis is not in Missouri.
East St. Louis is in Illinois. Two different cities,
so lost,
two different cultures. It's weird. It's kind of the same, but it's not the same. It functions like one city.
Okay. How far is it from actual St. Louis?
Like 3 minutes.
So it's right there.
It functioned like one city.
Okay.
Like the functionality, you going to work, family members on both sides.
Sure.
It functioned like one city, but it's split. Illinois and Missouri is split by the Mississippi River.
Gotcha.
So the Mississippi River completely split the states. So East St. Louis is in Illinois. And St. Louis is in Missouri. And East St. Louis actually wasn't called East St. Louis at first. It was Illinois town, like way back before St. Louis was even St. Louis. I think I'm gonna fact check that, but I think Illinois town was his own thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got the name East St. Louis, but two completely different cities.
That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. The ignorance of me was thinking all this time when you were saying East St. Louis, I was thinking that. Literally the east side of St. Louis, when really
I know I always
am I the only person that was doing that, or like
no, I see people kind of look at me and wonder why I kept saying East St. Louis. They'd be like, why he keep? It's like I'm from North Atlanta. It's like why he keep specifying
the region,
the direction and region of where he from? It's like it's because it's a whole nother city, and I think the differences between them are one has more of a both kind of like from the Great Migration, from Mississippi
history lesson
and
right here,
in the South. From Mississippi in the South. My great grandmama came up from Mississippi, and a lot of the other people from St. Louis, same thing, in Chicago. But East St.
Chicago
Louis,
for sure.
East St. Louis got more of a Chicago-ish influence.
Yeah,
and St. Louis. So for instance, I'm gonna get deep into it.
Let's go.
For instance,
this is good.
St. Louis gangs is different than East St. Louis gangs. So East St. Louis got a lot of GDs and Vice Lords, kind of like Chicago gangs. And St. Louis got a lot of the LA gangs, so Bloods, Crips, all that.
Okay.
So the politics is different. Some of the lingo is a little different.
Yeah.
But you might hear it mixed in East St. Louis.
I'm assuming they all don't get along, basically.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Okay.
So
tell me about what was it like growing up in East St. Louis across the Mississippi? I mean, like, were you like, where were you? Like, were you in like the suburbs? Like like, talk a little bit about like your real upbringing, like what it looked like, you know what I'm saying?
So in East St. Louis is only like 25,000 people.
Okay.
And East St. Louis don't have a suburbs, like the whole city, the hood. So
wow.
There is no suburbs. There is no good part. There is no like part where you get away from the madness, like the whole city, the hood. It's only 89 blocks. So I'm from 38th Street. I'm from the middle of East St. Louis, and so it was going down where I was at.
When you say going down, what does that look like? Give me some specifics. So like, what did you see growing up, and what kind of environment was that for you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just a lot of shootings, a lot of killing, a lot of drug dealing, a lot of my family was on drugs. A lot of my family, the crack era hit real hard, and a little bit of the history behind East St. Louis is that like the race rides, like this race ride popped off in East St. Louis like a long time ago.
Right.
And some specific popped it off. I'm gonna do my research on it a little bit more before I just spew it in front of the.
Yeah.
But basically the first gangs in East St. Louis was like some of these white dudes who would get like real drunk and like go and like kind of like cocktail, like it was East St. Louis was kind of split. Because at first it was mostly white. East St. Louis was mostly white at first. And it was a thriving city. It was the fourth biggest city in Illinois. It had like 90,000 people, 80-some thousand people, something like that. And it was thriving at first. But then these race riots happened, and a lot of the businesses, like black people started fighting back, and then they started fighting, and then a lot of these businesses, the General Motors, the stuff
they was like, out, we out.
It was like, all right, we out, and they went to
they had
Chicago.
the privilege of getting out. But what about some of your family, your lineage?
Yeah, it got left. You know what I'm saying?
And what did that do to the city and your upbringing? What did that leave y'all in?
A lot of the crab in a bucket mentality. Like, all right, now you just gotta survive. You gotta get it how you live, because it's not that many job opportunities.
Sure. No so if you're a kid, if you're take me back to like middle school. Are you doing good in school? Are you in trouble? Like, are you like the quintessential, like, no pun, like good kid, mad city? That's what's kind of ringing out in my brain a little bit. Talk about that. Yeah,
my bird raised me at church. She raised me in church. I wouldn't never know like no thug. I wasn't a gangster. I know real gangsters. I wouldn't call myself a gangster. Okay. I just, you know what I'm saying, I seen a lot, did a little bit. Like I was one of them kids, like I was always in church. She always kept us in church. It wasn't no option. It wasn't like, my mama, she was real deal, like still is real deal, like saved, like
for real. She knew knows the Lord.
Dancing was sinful, like type saved. Like
it's like Kojic Baptist, Pentecost. What kind of?
She all Kojic Baptist Costal.
All that.
She was real deal.
And was your father around?
So my pops, and it's funny, my pops was the exact opposite. He was the exact opposite of that. Like he was my mama, she was, she wasn't as innocent as, she was with my pops. My pops, I found out later on in life what my pops used to do. He just was off into some stuff, you know what I'm saying, like dealing, got caught up in the whole game. You know how the 80s and 90s go. So So, he was well known. And, he was
for maybe the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but he moved back to Mississippi where his mama stayed, where my grandma is. And we more so had a phone relationship. I only seen my pops probably like 2 times my whole life.
What?
Yeah. But he was there. He was there, but he wasn't there. Like he was there. Like he would, the normal stuff. Like he would my mama ain't want to let me play football. He like, convinced her to let me play football.
But he wasn't like present in your life like that.
Yeah, check on me by my grades, like, you know what I'm saying, send me money. You know what I'm saying? He'll do the stuff that like
you supposed to checking the boxes?
To check the boxes.
Yeah, I spent.
Yeah.
I think do you feel like as a kid as a grown man looking back now, did you felt like he could have been there more, and how has that influenced how you've been raised and grown up into, When
I was younger, I used to like, I really didn't care because I wasn't used to seeing him no ways.
Sure.
So it was like whenever he hit me up, it was like I was happy. I was super happy. I was like, oh, that's Dad. I get on the phone with him, but the more and more I get older, the more and more I'm like, you start seeing the sin and the responsibility, and you like, man, bro. Yeah. Like, you start getting a little more bitter. But my pops passed when I was 12. I still don't really know the full reason or the full story behind it. It wasn't a murder or nothing like that.
Okay.
It might have been an aneurysm or a heart attack, something like that. But he died back in Mississippi. So yeah, it was like when that happened.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was gonna hurt that bad because he wasn't like physically around me. But it wasn't until he was gone until it was like, oh, I ain't got a pops.
Yeah, that's when you was like. So tell me about your like, how did you? So were you always walking with the Lord? You were always around like the church.
Yeah,
you knew about the gospel. When did it like hit you? Like, yo, I know the Lord. Like, what point of your life did that come into place?
Yeah, I would say for a long time. Like now that I look back on it, for a little minute, church was like a culture. It was something that I always knew God exists, just because that was something that my people's, everybody around me, it was like they made sure that was known. Like it was a God-fearing family. It's weird in the hood sometimes where it's like everybody on demon time, but everybody know the Lord at the same time.
Can we just? This demon time thing's getting out of hand.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, y'all know what y'all talking about, fam?
Nah, ain't nobody on demon time. Ain't nobody on.
Like who? That's not something to aspire to be on.
It's not. It's really not.
And demon time is like death time.
Stop being on demon time,
please.
Yeah, stop being on demon time. Don't let demons put you on demon time, because that's not the type time you want to be on. They ain't got that much time.
Demon time is not a lot of.
They ain't got that much time left, so don't be on they type time. It's ticking.
I can see an old granny hitting that demon.
They ain't got that much time left.
So like, when did you like? When did the Spirit hit you? When did that moment happen where you felt like this is less of a culture, this is like a way of life and a lifestyle?
So growing up, I saw a lot of acting in church too. I saw a lot of like, like changing your voice when you get in the pulpit, like dressing up in church, then getting out doing something else. And so for me, I go and I knew God exists, but it wasn't no real like conviction. So I was still off with my partners in the street doing little stuff. I wasn't doing a lot. Yeah. But just doing more than probably like your average person who ain't like East St. Louis is real bad. So what I think ain't that much, probably, I don't know what it is to other people. So it's like, I was off doing that kind of stuff, but I always had a reverence for God and a reverence for my mom. So that kept me out of a lot of trouble that I could have got in. And so I think it like when I was 16, shout out Mr. Tate, my teacher, man. He
shout out Mr. Tate.
Mr. Tate from Chicago. And so he'll pull up videos and in math class. And Jackie Hill was the first rapper that I ever seen, first Christian rapper that I ever seen. She was doing her poem about weed. And so then the next person he pulled up was Craig. And so
is it public school?
Yeah.
So Mr. Tate, he was public school, government funded teacher, separation of church and state.
Yeah.
Pulls up Christian hip hop artist Jackie Hill Perry and Lecrae. Why was he doing that?
So he was just trying to give us like, they come from that like that in Chicago, it's like that's a big scene, that's a big art city.
Sure.
And that was something that he really cared about. And Mr. Tate was a diehard Christian. He a diehard Christian, so it's like he was just trying to sow seeds and into us. And so I was that clown. I'd be in class like, man, this weak. But whole time I'm like, they nice though. I ain't gonna lie, they nice. And so I remember, like, long story short, in my bedroom, like, God had been drawing me because 5 of my friends had all died from gang violence in like one summer.
And how old are you at this moment?
I'm like 15. Jeez. And so my friend, back of the head, my other friend died in the car. My other friend, he got shot in the leg and his main artery bled out. And so I'm like, man, I'm next.
5 friends died in one summer.
Yeah, it was real bad. And so I'm like, man, I'm next. And I remember coming from basketball practice and this video popped up on my YouTube. It was recommended for you. And it was like, narrow is the way. And I was like, recommended for me. I'm watching it, and it's all the heavy people. Paul Washer. I ain't know who none of these dudes was. Paul Washer, John Piper, all of these dudes. And so I'm like, man, they talking about how you think you're a Christian because you grew up in church, but you're not. Just because of that, just because of your association, you don't really know God. Like those who know God keep His commandments, and they, you know what I'm saying. And if you really believe in Jesus, and they landed on, and so I'm like, dang, I ain't no Christian. Like, whole time I thought I was a Christian and I'm not no. And so right there at the edge of my bed, I just cried out, was like, God, I'm sorry. Like,
That's good, bro.
I sinned against you and I want to give my life to you. I believe in you. I believe Jesus paid for my sins. And I did that about 15 times. Like, I got
since prayers.
I got
10x multiple.
You hear me? I got.
Hey, man, we definitely want to get into more on the next segment, man. This is having a good time chopping up with you, man. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with my man, Torey D'Shaun, and we're just catching up on his backstory, so stay tuned for more, y'all.
Yeah.
Welcome back. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with my dog.
Yes, sir.
Torey D'Shaun. So, we're just catching up to your backstory. Mr. Tate, your high school teacher, pitched you on to Jackie Hill Perry, Lecrae. Talk a little bit about why he did that and why that connected with you.
Story about Mr. Tate. He, being from Chicago, we was always, Tate was just always super respectful to us.
Right.
Never lashed out at us. And I always wondered, I always knew it was something different about him. But, he would.
Why was he different? What did he not do?
He just wouldn't lash. He wouldn't be cussing us out like the other teachers. He wouldn't lash out at us. He wouldn't scream at us. He wouldn't throw little demeaning remarks like some of the other teachers would. He actually helped us out. He overextended himself. And so that was some of the stuff that I saw in him that I was like, why he like that?
And that resonated with you?
It witnessed to me. I ain't know what that was in the moment, but it was I want to be like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be like Tate. But the funny thing is, after that night that I had got saved, right after that night, I would start going to school, and I still, it's still the same thing. A lot of times you can't tell. A lot of people could tell because there was a lot of stuff that stopped for me. I slowly stopped cussing as much. I started talking about God a little bit more, and people
eye rolls.
Yeah, what is he on? Bro, the girls I can't say what they were saying, but it's I remember the dance that I went to, and so the dance that I went to was probably the most pivotal moment in my walk that I realized.
Say more. What happened?
I was there, and we was all turning up. Chief Keith was the man that when I was in school, he was him for real. He changed everything. Dirk, all of them.
The drill scene just exploded.
And we in East St. Louis, we adjacent to Chicago. So it's it's people, our city is connect, it's people from there at our school. And so we all turning up. I don't like, we all turning up. And I look around and everything slow down. like they like, I don't like. I see everybody going in slow motion. I'm looking.
Really?
And for the first time, I feel like I felt conviction. Like the Holy Spirit was like,
He tapped you. You're not part of this.
Yeah, that's not you no more. And I remember looking over at Tate. Tate was chaperone and he on the wall. And I look over at Tate and he just smiling at me like he always be doing. Tate, I think Tate low-key knew I got saved, like without knowing for real. But I walked over there to him and he was like, it's okay. And I just stood next to him for like the next 3 hours of the dance. I ain't danced no more for the rest of I just stood next to him. Fast forward, a church plant happens in East St. Louis that I'm a part of. Tate comes along and he's a part of the church plant in East St. Louis. But
look at God.
This the catch though. He like, Torey, like, but I'm really walking with God now. You know what I'm saying? I'm 20 at this point. I'm not 17, 16, I'm 20. So I'm really walking. He could see the difference. And he like, man, I'm catching him up. He like, so what you doing now? And I had just started rapping. And so I'm like, I'm a Christian rapper.
Why is that like a struggle to say that? It's like, what you do? What you do? What you do
in his class?
Oh yeah.
And so
the irony is
I'm like, I was really Paul. Like I was Paul the apostle. Like I was Saul of Tarsus in his class. And now I'm Paul the like.
Shout out for you knowing your Bible, by the way. But keep going.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And so
well read gentleman, you know.
Yeah, man. He was like, when I told him that, he was like, he was shook. He like, you would, but I think it encouraged him, like, seeing the result. Because, you know, a lot of time we don't get to see the result of our work. But
sure. Of discipleship. Well, and that's if I can pause right there, it's like, this is like a note for me and everybody out here who does evangelism, mentorship, training, raising up people in the faith. We at times want the temporal or immediate credit or transformation, visible transformation for our own internal glory. To say, look what I did on this person. When really, if we're being honest, who does the work? We're just preach the gospel.
Come on, Pastor
not
Ace.
Force it on them. Not and when somebody's really in the hands of the Lord, He'll convict and direct and transform at the pace that He sees fit for them. And we may not even see it on this until it turns. Like that's the tough part about ministry discipleship. Someone, Scott Free was on this sitting right there a couple weeks ago, and he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "You know how you spell discipleship?" I said, "How you spell it?" He said, "Time." And I was like, yeah. So Mr. Tate didn't even know what he was doing, but he was just being faithful to the Lord, planting seeds that literally were being watered through Christian hip hop, your conversion, and the Spirit just was like, yo, come on through. You're one of us. Yeah. Look at you now, fam.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So you found the Lord and you started like, let's get into the music. I think people obviously are wanting to, but I think it's good so people just hear that backstory just to, because you have so much to offer. I'm like, when I hear your music, there's so much depth and like poetry. There's a lot in there. And I think it would be a disservice for people to jump into the music without hearing like, yo, this is why Torey's the way he is. You are like a good kid in a mad city. That's what I get from you. Like the Kendrick Lamar story for real.
Yeah.
So you start rapping. Were you like trying to get on? Like, what were you? Why music? Like, what? How did that happen? Like, and what was your goal at the time?
So funny story. Like, the start of music was from, I made my first song when I was 6 with my cousins. Shout out my cousin Kelly and Shenny Pooh. I made my first songs with them when I was 6. Really with Kelly, it was called Complicated Girls. Yeah. When I was 6 years old.
What you know about
And so we made the song, but my cousin Shenny Pooh, she was, St. Louis is so close. Yeah. So she had when I was 9 years old, she had a situation where she was friends with one of the girls we went to school with, and her cousin was Chingy. And so, you know what I'm saying, right there.
All that.
Yeah. So she ended up linking with her. They was doing this group called the Get It Girls. Yeah. And so I used to help my cousin Shenny Pooh with like some of her raps and stuff like that. She was writing them too, but I like help. I be penning and stuff. And so when he had like if he'd tell her like, oh, this hard, like that was the first time I'm young and I'm like, oh shoot, like
you did that.
I can rap. Like I can rap. And so fast forward, my uncle was the one with my whole family is like music, just a music oriented family. Like one of my cousins, you know what I'm saying, was with Prince. Okay. Like allegedly. No, I'm playing.
He was with him. That's what he said.
He was with him.
That's what he said at the cookout and at Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna take it. Look,
now
because the family verified him.
I mean,
they verified him. Like, no, yeah.
They did verify.
They verified, but
yeah. Sometimes uncles just be talking at the cookout.
I know.
Man, I used the same background from Michael Jackson. Fam, you lying. You was a roadie or something. He was
selling the merch.
He was selling the merch at one tour stop. He was a volunteer.
But man, bro, like my whole family was music adjacent. Like my aunt, like rest in peace, my aunt. She was the one who kind of got us into music, and like music was always with me, but sports was the way out in East St. Louis. So I started playing basketball and football, but my big brother was the real like big influence for me, like with music. Like the first song I ever learned word for word was Jesus Walks. That was my first ever
not a bad song to learn.
He'd come back from college and just like wang that mug in his car. Like I'm riding around and I wanted to be like my big brother. My big brother name is Torey D'Shaun Harris. I'm Torey D'Shaun Harris. So it's destined.
Your parents.
I just wanted to be like, one. I just wanted to. She was, man. You don't want to know what my name almost was. I ain't gonna tell on her. But I need to tell. That's a good piece. I need to tell you what my name.
Shout out all the black mamas who.
I'm gonna tell you what my name almost was.
What was it? Boopy?
Nah, it ain't it. So my name was almost Fenardriana Tez Deviana Vondre.
Brother. I don't know if that is I don't know what I just heard. I don't know if that's pig Latin or I don't know what's going on.
Marinate.
But I just want to say shout out to the black mamas them for the creativity.
East St. Louis, East Boogie, we fly high, no lie.
I don't know if the goal was to like equip our kids with a lot of like literary challenges. So we're gonna make this the longest name ever to spell in first grade. But
she wasn't thinking about me.
The black mamas are y'all shout out all my black mamas, y'all. All right, so yeah, music. Let's get into Christian hip. Like you rapping as a Christian, like look, I can't even say it. Like I'm struggling. Hey, shout out all the comments on YouTube. Some of y'all 116 fans. Hey, you can laugh, but you can't. Be careful. Be careful in the comments because I might come for you. Ain't gonna
careful.
Lie. I'm just saying, right?
Be careful. I'm from St. Louis. Be careful.
All right. Did you? So Tate sees you at the church. Did you know you was trying to be an artist then? Were you trying to pursue Christian? Were you doing service, ministry?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
So I was just serving. I was just serving, and I was in college. I had just recently left my other church.
Okay.
I was serving, and I had met my producer Brett. Love Ain't Done Yet. So before he was Love Ain't Done Yet, me and him both ended up trying to like talk to these two girls. You know, we was young. We was just trying to talk to these two girls, but they was like, hey, you can't be a leader in the youth group if you talk to these girls just because we don't want no distraction. That's cool if you want to pursue them. We was like, all right, cool, we gone. So we left to pursue them girls. So we got like church discipline. And so we was we was just, you know, young and dumb, man. Young and dumb. Shout out my wife currently, because I was just
Janae's
dumb.
The truth.
Yeah, Janae the truth. But yeah, we left there, went back to his house. He was like, man, I heard you rap. You know what I'm saying? I heard you produce. And so we just formed a bond. We started doing music together. First song was terrible. The second song got me a Sony distribution deal. I hated that song, but it got me a Sony distribution deal.
Your second song ever recorded?
Ever recorded, and I just did it because, you know, our church was kind of like a mini, like it was a big church, but I just did it for like some friends, some of the youth, and when the track stars, shout out to track stars, reached out to me, I was like, man, God, like, is this what you want me to do?
Right.
And so I started praying, and the more and more I prayed, the more and more stuff started happening. And so I quit basketball. I was red shirted on my college basketball team, so I quit basketball, and I started I started hooping. Like, I mean, I started
doing music.
I stopped hooping, started doing music.
Man, so you like at this time, so you're serving at the church too? Like, what is it?
I was serving at the church.
Okay, like you were like an intern paid or like more like volunteer?
More so like a Timothy to like a Paul. Like,
okay.
So my mentor name was Paul Fernandez. Okay. Shout out Paul Fernandez. And I started, rapping and doing my thing like after I was serving there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that kind of took off. And in the middle of that, that's when he was like, because it's probably like 20 minutes away from East St. Louis. He was like, man, I feel like God is telling me you need to go back home and be in your city, and do ministry there. That's where he wants you at. I'm from Belleville. You from East St. Louis. You need to,
So you went back to East St. Louis?
So this, my pastor now, my homie named Kempton Turner, he was playing the church in East St. Louis.
Gotcha.
And so I went back there right around the time I started rapping, and then rapping started taking off. The church started. And so all of this stuff started happening, man. That was just like, I was like, man, this is what God want me to do.
That's like, amazing. I feel like, I mean, we have so much to cover, but I just want to, like, I remember this is maybe like 2018-ish. Mm-hmm. Stuff started to kind of sizzle. Like, I started seeing you on like different blogs, and your music was starting to kind of form an identity. And we was playing. Lecrae was playing some of your project. I forget which project it was.
It was Boopy.
Boopy, yeah, okay. With the amazing cover art. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it just stood out, and I think that led us to kind of tap in and just build a relationship. But I think it's dope that, just hearing your backstory of, coming to the Lord. Christian hip hop was like being your first introduction into like somebody that was genuine in the faith, which is super dope. And just kind of like, you've been really dope, man, consistent, bro. Like you really, your creativity is just amazing. Just, I mean, I would say you've got some of the wittiest bars in the space. Like, you got quotables, bro, and I think it's just good to hear your humble heart and how far you've kind of been. But yeah, I think on the next segment, I would love to get into more of the details of like your actual music, some of the stuff you've been killing lately, and also what you're working on now. So let's definitely tap in on after this break. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with Torey D'Shaun. We'll be right back, y'all.
You hear me?
Welcome back, y'all. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm here with my dog, Torey D'Shaun Harris, East St. Louis own. We just chopping it up, man. Just getting your backstory. But we got to get into the music. I think people, like I said on the last segment, man, you've got some of the wittiest bars. Like, let's talk about like your creativity. What's your creative process? How do you come up with this stuff? Like, what you give me like Andre 3000 meets Kendrick meets like melodic hip hop. It's like you got a hodgepodge of different influences. Like, what is it about you that just brings out these different like witty bars and all this lyricism, bro?
Yeah, I would say it's some of my influences. Like, so Kanye is definitely one of my biggest. Yeah. Kendrick is my favorite rapper of all time. So I feel like Andre 3 Stacks is actually another. Yeah, 3 Stacks is another huge influence. And I got influences that my influences is kind of irregular. Yeah. Obviously, I got the hometown joints. The stuff you listen to growing up, like you listen to the hood stuff,
for sure,
Boosie, and all of them. Like, I ain't listen to that much Boosie, but everybody, the
are you listening to Boosie right now?
It's proper dosage. No, I'm not listening to Boosie right now.
Is Boosie listening to Boosie right now?
Boosie, I hope Boosie listening to God right now because.
Shout out Boosie, man.
I'm praying for Boosie.
He's a fun.
Man.
He's a.
I love Boosie so much.
If Boosie found the Lord,
he remind me of one of my. He actually is in. I don't know when he finna be in East St. Louis again, but he always pulling up to East St. Louis
to perform and stuff.
Yeah, just to be with the people. Like, he signed two twins from East St. Louis. Okay. He locked in. Like, he always in East St. Louis. So
back to Torey. Boosie got his own thing.
Yeah, but obviously like the St. Louis influences, like just like Nelly and like, not like, I feel like it indirectly.
Yeah, I would say when I hear that, I hear the St. Louis in your tone and your vernacular more than like the actual song making process.
Yeah, it's more so like the way we say stuff.
Sure.
Stuff like that. But I say like, yeah.
Let's talk about Scam Likely. Like, how did that song come together and what was the thought process?
So Scam Likely was more so like, think I'm a slow cooker. That's how I work. And I think I got spoiled that way from being with Brett. Mm-hmm. I didn't know a lot of people did shotgun studio sessions. I kind of started off with Brett so we could take our time. Mm-hmm. And I had a hand in everything I was doing. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like normal to me. So I could take a little longer. And so I would really construct songs, and you know how Kanye and Kendrick would be. Like all of my songs had to have meaning and purpose. So I like with Scam Likely, it was already kind of an idea I had about like listening to God, and I remember I kept getting Scam Likely calls, and I was like, this would be dope. And so at first I said the Scam Likely line like, okay, I picked up my phone, heard that everybody like me. God hit my line and said it's a scam likely, and it just ain't come off like the way that I was like, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Velo for sending me that beat, man. But I was like, it's cool, but I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know, it's missing something. And then Janae was in the back. My wife, shout out my wife. She always been on my music. Like ever since we was friends, she been on my music.
That's dope.
People don't even know. Like the Boopy tag is her. Like she been she sang on a couple of my songs.
Oh, she singing on. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she was in the back, and I was like, Janae, say this line real quick. Say and so she was just like, it's a scam likely, you know, all ghetto how she be saying stuff. And
not
so
ghetto.
I was like, when we heard it in the studio, we was like, oh, this it. And so I chopped it. You be doing it.
I think your creativity is like how you construct songs. It's like, it's just unique. You know what I'm saying? Even like on Stuck on the Elevator, like I remember when I think it was Hovey who first sent me that, and I was like, yo, this is wild. Talk about that song and how that came together. And
yeah. Shout out Chris. He like my board for like if something dope or not, either he'll go crazy or he'll be like, nah, this ain't it. Like
good to have some good friends in your corner, some day ones. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta have them day ones, man, who gonna tell you the truth. But sure. Stuck on the Elevator, I definitely made that in a place where that was a very, so Stuck on the Elevator, I didn't write anything down. That was all just like,
I remember I saw you perform that, bro, on the beautiful tour in New York, and I was just like, killed it. All right, one more record I gotta talk about. Man, when you and Hovey get together, y'all just make some classics.
Yeah, man.
And I am blessed to be able to create with y'all, honestly, because man, y'all, it's just fun. Like,
hold on. So Ace is the best producer in the world. Like, no cap. He's the best producer, and I'm not faking it. I'm not capping. He's the best producer on the planet to me.
When I hear when he says that is, Ace, when you gonna lock in and give me some beats? That's all I
convince him right now, please, everybody. Man, just spam Ace, work with Torey. Ace, work with Torey. Ace, get a single record with Torey. Get a single record with Torey. Ace and Torey. Ace X Torey. We got to. It's on me, y'all. It's mandatory.
It's blame my kids. Nah.
We cousins.
We cousins, yeah. You know, Harris gang. But like, man, talk about how like what you added to that song, because obviously me and Hovey had the idea, but what you did to that record, bro. Like your verses, the hook, like it's a 1 Corinthians banger. I get excited to hear when Christian hip hop can literally embrace the scripture and package it in a way that's so creatively ambitious and still dope. It's really hard to do. It is. Like, how did you come across? How did you do that? Like, what goes on in your brain when you're making songs like that in those bars?
I think part of it is just like you just gotta have it. Like,
oh, that's true.
Like I really do. Like the more and more, because I used to be one of them people like, no, man, everything is learned. You can, and like the more and more I go, the more and more I'm like, I think you just have to be a relatable person. Like somebody who, and maybe you can't learn that, but somebody who is able to take lofty concepts.
Sure.
And bring them into kind of like really dope comedians. Like take these super lofty things and like package it in a way where you say it like them old Southern people who say like 3 paragraphs in a sentence, like, and you like it just make you laugh. I feel like that's the gift that God gave me. I really feel like I got the gift of preaching and teaching. Like, I really do feel that way. And so I think some stuff just kind of naturally come to me like that. Plus who I used to listen to and all of that.
I mean, it feels like you said something that really stood. I want to draw out like your relatability, because you're essentially I mean, even on that song, even a lot of your songs, you're literally not shying away from the faith, the gospel, the scriptures, but the way it's conveyed is almost like comedy. It's like comedy, it's charisma, but it's just like unfiltered truth too. Like this is first, and it's just the way you. I ain't trying to talk about strange. They ain't always fumble that part, but just like that, those moments are like, yo, this is fly. This is hip hop.
I feel like now everything has to be. And this is a little nugget. I feel like everything now has to be Instagram captionable. Like, if you can't make it an Instagram caption, then the line don't hit hard enough. I feel like every single line I try to make it to a point where, average everyday person who hear it, gonna hear it and be like, they gonna want to scream it. Like, they gonna want to scream that particular line. Yeah. Like, this a 1 Corinthians banger. It's like, I know that people just gonna want to say that.
That's dope. I mean, it's almost like, sometimes the old heads be try to like, and as someone who may be called an old head, I don't put that on me, but I'll take it if that's what you're gonna say. But like, it's creativity. Like, lyricism has evolved in the art form in hip hop, in the craft, and there is a beauty in being able to be clever, lyrical, and also very like faith filled in our space, and it takes a lot to do it. And I feel like you don't waste words on your bars. You do not. Torey never wastes a bar. Like, every bar is just very like thought out. And I think in a climate of hip hop specifically, when in some of the naysayers, especially some of the people at the top and the executives are maybe laughing at the commercial plateau hip hop has been having as a whole. Yeah. Like, yo, I told y'all, or it's funny that on the 50th anniversary of hip hop is commercially tanking or having trouble right now. I want to be careful how I say this. Yeah. But I'm looking at the Christian hip hop artists. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at Hov. I'm looking at No Big Deal and Indie Tribe. And I'm saying, hey, but somebody's carrying hip hop to the next level and keeping that creativity in there. Not about being what it was, but just evolving the genre and giving space for the art. I mean, say more about that. What you think about that?
I think, man, when my indie brother Deal said, man, praise the Lord, make it dope. That's the whole mission. Like, I think that's the whole mission. I think for hip hop in specific, like, I think obviously over here on the Christian side, like, content is gonna be more of a focus. But I think that's what the world of hip hop is just kind of getting away from in general because of the publicizing of like pushing the agenda of like be drugged up. You know what I'm saying? Don't think about your problems. Don't think. Just don't think. Just, it's a vibe. Just don't think. Don't think. Don't think. I don't want to listen to the song. I just want to not think and jump. And it's like, that's something that's kind of being pushed now, where back then lyricism was something, even on the secular side, that was
or I would say, even to redeem it, not even lyricism, thoughtfulness.
Thoughtfulness.
Because like, even though people may disagree, I mean, there were some young Jeezy songs where it may not have been like, wholesome to your spiritual. But
you had to feel it though.
It was thoughtful.
You had to feel not the beat. You had to feel what you was saying. Like what that person, and he talking.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like Christian hip hop, I want to encourage you and what you've been doing, and also the people that are struggling on what to do. Like, we have to be the ones that keep the thoughtfulness in our art form, because God gave us so much to process,
to talk about.
I mean, the Bible is literally like, there's so much depth in those scriptures, and it don't have to come across like how people, when they hear about theology and rap, they kind of go back to like how it was before. They may go back to like the cross movement days, the early reach days, and they think it has to be like that. Yeah. I think God gives so much grace and creativity to let it flow out of you naturally by the way He made you. You know what I'm saying? So, speaking of Deal, man, you recently been announced as the next official member of Indie Tribe.
Indie Tribe saved lives. Hey, Indie Tribe saved lives. You hear them horses?
Hey, man, still holy.
Still holy, man. Yeah, it's so much I could say about them. Right. I was already friends with all of them before I joined. I met Deal the earliest, then John. No, I met Michael the earliest.
Okay.
His shout out Michael, first show I ever did, like that was like, you know, a thing. He DJ'd it, so you know, and it was here in the A. But Michael, then Dill, then John, then Mowgli, and then I was just always friends with them. I was always tribe adjacent, and then one day he just hit me up, and I was actually praying, like, cause I was like, man, God, like, I feel like I'm kind of at this point where I'm like, I mean, do you want me to do this anymore? Like, it kind of felt like at the moment, like certain stuff I was doing, it was like, all right, you know, is people really rocking? Like, I'll put it down if you want me to. And I feel like the next day, cause I wasn't getting some stuff that we had this conversation.
Yeah, me, you definitely.
Yeah, I wasn't like getting some stuff that I really felt like God wanted for me, but God convicted me, and he was like, if you ever thought that maybe I just didn't want that for you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got a better plan than yours. Like, or did you even think to include me? Did you even think to include me in your plan? Like, you felt like you needed something it's like you ultimately put your trust in something else but me for years. And I had to repent, man. And when I repented and was just like, man, God, all right, you do your thing. Like, Dill called the next day. He called the next day and was like, hey, bro, what you doing? I was like, man, I'm getting ready to go to this gender reveal with the wife. Man, it was good. He like, yeah, bro, what you think about being part of the tribe? I was like, he was like, man, you know, like, you could take time to pray about it. I was like, I already did. I prayed about it yesterday. So
shout out God, man. I feel like the breakthrough follows the surrender. Yeah. Surrender, then the...
Yeah. Shout out John, because John wanted me. John, they was like, bro, 2 seconds after he got an indie tribe, John was like, we need to get Torey. Like, we need to get Torey. Like, 2 seconds after he was in indie tribe. And so, shout out my brother.
Everything's kind of crystallizing for you. I mean, even you're literally in Atlanta right now. This, you know, and you're on the beautiful tour with Hovey and Big Breeze. Like, talk about that experience. How's that feel? And like, just because you're kind of having in my opinion, like a resurgence in your career right now, outside of the spiritual stuff, which we all locked in on, but like optically and statistically, like literally your career is showing some material fruit. I mean, how's that feel, being on tour and all that?
It's actually been very crazy. Like with everything that was going on, a lot happened at the same time. Love like that. Me joining Indie Tribe, then Love like that, then the tour, then getting announced at Indie Tribe Festival while I was on the tour. It's just so much happened all at one time. But I will say, being on tour was something that me and Hovey, my bad.
It's cool.
Me and Chris would talk about, because me and Chris been friends before, you know, since before he even came on Reach, and we would just be up all night talking to, you know, while he was at work, you know, mopping the floors and stuff. And I was like, man, when you blow up, because you're going to blow up. When you blow up, bro, like, just don't forget me. Take me on tour with you. He was like, nah, bro, you going to blow up. And
I love this, man.
And so when it was time, he was like, bro, he called me. He was like, bro, it's time, bro. We going on tour. I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. And so we would just laugh and talk, have our normal conversation. And then when I saw what type of tour he was trying to do, I was like, oh, like, you trying to like, you trying to tour, like, you
we got tour bus, we got
I'm like,
we got runners,
I'm
we got
thinking
merch.
5 to 7 dates, like something like. He like, no, I'm trying to, like, we trying to reach the people, bro. Like, we going. And so, man, shout out. That's my brother, man. Like, shout out him, shout out Breeze. Like, that's my other brother. Like, being on the road with them, I wouldn't have wanted it no other way for real. So
that's so good, man. I mean, we've said so much, man. I mean, we got to probably put a pin in it, but one last thing that you want to leave the people with, man. Any encouragement or anything that you got going on that, you know, people want to hear from you, man.
Man, I just want to thank everybody who even support me. If you don't know me, I encourage you to get to know me. Man, I just want to thank everybody who supported me, who listened to my songs, I want to thank Reach just for constantly putting me on, like, putting me on all of the summer playlists and giving me my first like huge look with a huge artist in Trip. Shout out Trip. Shout out Ace. Shout out Craig. Like, they hit me up, brought me to the A. It's just so many people that I can thank. But yeah, I'm grateful because I should be dead in jail or in hell somewhere. But I just want to be grateful for like everything that God has done through my life. I'm trying to release this album in the first half of next year. Really trying. I think it's gonna be a really like life-changing experience for me and for a lot of other people. I'm praying that. I'm also trying to open a creative space where I'm at.
That's dope.
At the crib, and just want to encourage everybody to, the mission is to make disciples. It don't matter if you do this or anything else. Man, that's the ultimate mission. That's what I'm gonna do when I get back to the crib. I think God cares about the behind the scenes just as much, if not more, than the stage.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that like I can forget being in America. Like, everything is about the stage, the lights, the money, all that.
Yeah.
But God cares about what happened behind the scenes.
Man, well, that's it, y'all. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here, signing off for Torey D'Shaun. Catch y'all next time.